What is up, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. Today we are checking out the Wampler EGO 76 compressor. This is based on a very popular studio compressor that came out, I want to say, in the late 60s called the 1176. It's a FET style compressor. Now I believe this is different from the Wampler EGO comp. That I believe isn't, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's an OTA style compressor, which is going to be more along the lines of maybe like a Dynacomp, like an MXR Dynacomp. This is based on the studio compressor, as I mentioned, the very popular 1176 style compression, which is FET. I prefer, I shouldn't say I prefer, but it is one of my favorite compressors, the 1176. So I was anxious to check this thing out. So let's get right into what's on top of it. On the top left, you have a tone control. I was really happy to see that. That's not typical, obviously, on an 1176, but I was happy to see that. Right next to it are two potentiometers that you would see on an 1176, and they're your attack and release potentiometers. And they're based on what happens to the signal, how quickly it's compressed, and then how long, when it is compressed or limited, how long it stays that way before it lets go. So the attack is how fast the compression kicks in, and the release is how fast or slow the compression lets go of the input signal. We'll get into those in the demo. On the bottom, you have a level control that controls the overall output of the pedal or of the compressor. Next to that, you have a blend control, which obviously would not be typical on an 1176, but it's very handy, especially for guitar players. It allows you to do exactly what it says, blend in your clean signal. So we'll check that out. I'll show you how it works in the demo. And then last but not least, on the right there is your compression or compress potentiometer. Now it kind of essentially is going to combine, because if you think of an 1176, it's got an input, output, and essentially a ratio. This kind of combines all of that into one control. So we'll definitely check that out in the demo. And of course, you've got your bypass switch, runs 9 volts DC. So yeah, let's check this thing out. It's the EGO 76 compressor by Wampler. Okay, let's check out this compressor. Here's just the guitar into the amp as per usual for your reference. And here is the EGO 76. Okay, enough of that nonsense. So yeah, I was just kind of running through some different ways that I would dial this. It's capable of being really, really fast, but I also liked it or used it as a boost where the blend control can kind of come into play where I'll blend some of that compression out and bring in some of the clean and then gun the level to get solo tones or you know, pushed amp sounds, which is what I did in that performance. So let's do this. Let's where to start? Let me put all of this on the top at essentially noon. We'll put the level back where it was, and we'll just kind of go through not kind of, let's do it. We'll go through the controls. So let's go back to off. So what I want to do first, I'll put the blend all the way to the right, which is going to be all compressor, no clean, and let you guys just hear the compression itself. So with the compressor all the way up, or I should say compression, that potentiometer, you know, results will vary depending on where you have the attack and release, but essentially that's the sweep of that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that compression all the way up, and I'm going to sweep the blend, which right now is all the way to the right, which is all compressor. I'll start sweeping that over. Obviously, there's a little bit of a level drop when it's all the way the other way because now we're pretty much out of the circuit. I kind of like it, honestly, in my humble opinion, I like to use a compressor and have it sound like a compressor. That's why I'm using it. I'm not so much into using it as an always on. It's not a bad thing, but I don't use them that way. But I would say about right there. Even with the compression all the way up is pretty cool. From here on out, I'm going to leave that blend control all the way over so we can just listen to the compressor. Obviously, the level can go from unity, pretty close to it. We can go below that, but let's push it the other way. Let's go above unity. So you've got plenty of level there to either push the amp. Now, once again, results will vary depending on where you have the compressor circuit set, the compressor, you know what I mean. So obviously there's plenty of room there. You can turn the blend down a little bit more clean, push the level, hit the amp harder with less compression if you want. But that's what that's all about. Let's check out this tone control. I'll go ahead and put the blend back where it was. So to me, that's pretty neutral. To the left, darker. I'll go ahead and turn it all the way to the right. So that's a great control if you just want to, you know, I actually dimed that thing when I used the 12 string. I actually had it up quite a bit when I used in the opening song. Oh, you can't see it, but the Eastman guitar I was playing, I went ahead and dimed the tone for that. But I actually had the guitar kind of dialed in such a way that it had this kind of, you know, spaghetti western thing. But anyways, the tone control is, I wouldn't say it's overly active, but it's very helpful. So that's that. Attack and release. I'm going to go ahead and turn the compression up, and we'll start with the attack. To the left is going to be faster. To the right, it's going to grab onto the guitar or input slower. Hence, it's going to seem more compressed. On that side, you'd have to compensate with level. If you go the other way, it's going to grab way slower. So like if you're a country guy, you're gonna be more, you're gonna want it to be faster. Now obviously I'm using a lot of compression, but it's because I want you to hear it. If you go the other way, you're going to want it to be a little bit slower. And for me, it's more of a feel thing anyways. I like the attack around probably there. But, you know, that's to each his own. I'll leave the attack, we'll leave that essentially at noon. And let's check out the release. Same thing with the release. Now it's how long it hangs on to the signal that's being compressed. So it's going to let go quicker if it's counterclockwise. And then if you go the other way, it'll hang on to it longer. So with that release, you know, I like it around there because I don't want it to hang on super long, but it depends on what I'm doing and how much sustain I want. So if we want something to really sustain, I mean, this will be a little bit heavier setting, but watch when I turn the guitar on. So that's, you know, that's a little bit extreme, but that's why you would want a release to be a little bit longer. In other words, it's going to hang on to it and slowly let go of it. You know, there's a million different ways to use compressors, especially the way musicians tend to use them. Some people want to just kind of have things level and take transients out. Others, you know, want like a, you know, a certain tonality or push. Some people like them always on. A guy like me, I use them when I need them. You know, there's so many different ways to dial compressors, and there's so many different ones out there, from optical, and you've got OTA, you've got tube, you've got FET. There's a ton of different ones out there. So these are always, in my humble opinion, kind of to each his or her own type of effect. But that is the EGO 76 compressor by Wampler. If you've got any other questions about it, definitely go to the website and check things out. And as always, I really appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you on the next one.